Sharing your faith requires a sincerity of heart. People aren't projects. You can't look at them that way. They can't be spoken to in order to make you feel better about sharing your faith. That would be disingenuous at best. It may be better than disobedience, but not good. If you find that you really don't have a love for people, like you really could care less about somebody else. I mean, the people that you meet, people you pass by every day, but you don't really give a thought about how they're doing. Maybe that they're in some trouble of some kind, or maybe they're doing really well. I mean, maybe you don't even care. If you get to that place where you're kind of like, well, I'm going to heaven, good for me. What happens to them, that's their problem. If you find yourself more or less in that place, instead of, say, one who cares inside about your neighbors and people around you, there's really only one thing you can do about it. Pray. Pray, pray, pray. Pray that God cracks your heart open, or chips away at the kind of the hardness, the callousness that maybe you've gained over many years living in this place called planet Earth. Ask him to show you his heart for the people that you meet. But be serious about that ask, because he will if you're serious. I was sitting with someone about a couple of years ago in a parking lot of the 100 Mile Library, and it was on a Sunday afternoon. The streets were pretty quiet. There was a few cars at Smitty's and a couple at the gym, and there was maybe a couple of old drivers that were going through their paces. And this person asked me, how many people do you think are around us right now? I said, well, I don't know, maybe 50. He goes, okay. If you truly believe what you say you believe, that these 50 people are on a pathway to eternal destruction, punishment, shouldn't you be more burdened about that than you are? He had me. And the answer to that was yes. I should be more burdened. I should be more passionate about souls. And now I realize that not all are called to be a Paul, and not all are called to be Billy Graham or William Booth, but we are all called to be a witness in our era, to do our part, to be a witness for Jesus. So we should feel the sting of that comment a little bit. Evangelism is 99% prayer. Prayer for us to be aware and passionate about the souls around us, but also prayer for the people you know, the people you work with, the people living next door, to pray for them by name. And I don't really know their names. Well, then make a priority to get to know their names, just so that you can pray for it. Go and say, hey, we say hi all the time, but I'm sorry, I really don't know your name. There's no shame in that. People don't mind telling you their first name. I have two biblical neighbors. One's named Mark and the other's named James. One has some faith a little bit, and the other does not. I read about when a pastor said to a neighbor one time, look, I'm a pastor. How are we going to do this? Let's just talk. Want to come over for barbecue? I haven't tried that yet, but humor sometimes actually goes a long ways and breaks the ice. Speaking of different kinds of methods, like there was a guy who once went up to D.L. Moody and was complaining about his method of evangelism, about standing on the street corners or preaching in the fields, and Moody listened to him, and then he said this. He goes, well, what is your method of evangelism? And the man said, I don't really have a method. And so he said, well, I like mine better. And I think that's a shortened version. I think he really said, that's interesting. I think you said a few good points. In fact, I don't like my method of evangelism that much myself, but I like it better than your method of doing nothing. So whether it's talking to someone over a fence post or backyard, or handing somebody having coffee with somebody and handing them a gospel tract or something, just do something. But be aware, be in prayer, and be one who cares. and make sure that you actually include talking in it. It's attributed to St. Francis of Assisi, but there's debate over whether he actually said this about, at all times preach the gospel, and if necessary, use words. A lot of people like that, and they don't use their words. They just are nice people. But that's good to a point, because I think it's necessary to use our words. Being a totally awesome person, I don't think has ever really saved anybody. Just because you're a great person, it doesn't lead them to Christ. They might think you're just a great person. That's an awesome person. But you might be an atheist. You might be a Mormon or a Jehovah's Witness or a Buddhist or any other kind of nice person. Maybe just a humanist, but a nice one. So you, though, are a Christian, and so you should use your words to tell people why it is you do what you do, why it is you think the way you think. Use your words. Look for opportunities. Make the most of those opportunities the Lord brings to your attention. Don't give up. Press in. See what God will do. Some doors say push on them. Some doors say open and kind of open up automatically. And some doors say closed. You need to respect that too. All I'm saying is be aware, be in prayer, and be one who cares.